and the link is provided in the slides, and this is the link I'm going to access. So in my case, I have already installed Docker, and once Docker is installed, you see this kind of uh, a menu here where you get to see the details about the Docker installation. However, I'll just try to reinstall again. So download. So it will take a minute. Entering my Docker ID and Docker password. So it says you can download Docker desktop for Mac. So similarly, you get an option to download the Docker for Windows. Ideally, Docker works better with Windows, with Mac and Linux. However, Windows wrappers are available, and there's a Docker engine community. So for most of our purposes, Docker engine community is sufficient, whereas Docker desktop contains much more than what Docker engine alone contains. So that means to say Docker desktop contains Docker engine as well. Let's download this. So while it is downloading, let us click this link. So here there are Docker engines available for various installations. So for example, let me just choose this, and here it says how to get the Docker, right? So this will install a community edition of Docker for Mac, and here are the list of steps provided. You just have to follow, right? And this here is a link. So before we go into installation, there are series of system requirements. So it says Sierra 1011, 10.12 or newer Mac OS versions. If you see here about this Mac, the version that I run is 10.14. So I'm already well within the version that is required. Then you get a, so this we have already downloaded. So if you go further down, so once it is installed, you should try to run these commands to check whether your Docker is working fine or not. Okay, so by default when you install or download, the .dmg file is downloaded on Mac, and for Windows it could be .exe file, and for Linux it could be .tar file, tar.gz file. Okay, so I'm not going to explain much about these things, but I just want to show you the series of steps. So it is opening docker.dmg. See, I have already installed Docker, so I'm just trying to reinstall the Docker here. Let me drag and drop. I already have Docker, that's why it says keep both. I'm going to replace it. So this operation cannot be completed because I already have a Docker in use. So I say okay. I'll quit Docker desktop here. I try to do the same thing instead of keep both. Sorry, I'll just say replace. It's replacing the Docker container. Okay, now I go to images, or say applications. close this window, go here, applications, and try to find the one with the latest. Say search for Docker. Yes. And say open. See the icon here. This icon says that Docker is up and running, or it is starting, right? So once Docker completely starts, you get to see the green button here, and then you can check whether Docker is installed on your setup by using a command docker version. Give it a minute. Yeah, the button has turned green. Let me open a terminal and let me say the latest version of Docker, which is 19.03.5, is installed on my machine. So this is how we install Docker on Linux Mac machine. So similar to this, so if you follow this links here, it will tell you, or it will provide you guidelines as how to install the same on Linux or Windows. So I'm not going to cover that as part of this series.